Welcome everyone to Arjun Erigaisi taking on Vincent Keimer in the second game of this freestyle chess quarterfinals in South Africa. Arjun played the first game against Vincent and that ended in a draw. And there you have Vincent coming in, two of the brightest talents in the world of chess currently. Vincent being world number 4, Arjun being world number 5, a handshake, and let's dive into the position in 1 minute. We have a bishop on a1, all ready to launch here, the queen on b1, knight on c1, bishop on d1, knight on e1, rook here, king and rook. So the only piece which is as per the traditional chess is the rook here. h4, h5, h6 should be on the cards at some point. Again, which should be the first move? Maybe b4 because it opens up the bishop. c4 also makes a lot of sense because it opens the bishop and the queen. For the knights, they could go via d3 and f3 to the central squares, and this seems like the position in which white has many good options to play for, and so it'll be interesting to see what is the first move that Vincent chooses. I hope you were able to understand this position a bit deeper. And now let's go to the game. Vincent starts the game with pawn to c4 and Arjun, well, he's taking his time there because there are a few ways to respond. Magnus played b5 against Fabi in his game when he got this position. What will Arjun do here? Maybe another move is c5 here, just symmetrical. He goes b6, opening up the bishop on this diagonal. However, now Vincent can play b4, also opening up his bishop and gaining a lot of space here. b4 played here, excellent move. And now the bishop is very strong on a1. e6 played, and the idea is knight to e7, f5, knight to f6, and continue continue controlling the center from the side. e3 played by Vincent Keimer, and now Arjun gets into the zone here and he pushes his pawn to f5. This is a risky move for sure, because while you get more control on the light squares because of this, your dark squares are weakened a bit. Vincent plays his knight to d3 first. He brings his knight in, and now for Arjun, I think a very logical move is to play bishop f6 and trade off these bishops. I think it can only help Arjun if he trades them off, because the bishop on d8 is not particularly active there. But he goes knight to f6, and this is a bit tricky for me. Knight to f6. h4 by Vincent. We spoke about this h-pawn moving ahead because of the rook on h1. The idea is h5, h6 coming in later. Arjun plays his knight to d6, and Vincent plays knight to e5. He has a strong knight here, and Arjun quickly wants to trade it off with knight f7. So take, rook takes is what he would like to do. He takes here, rook takes on f7. And now Arjun Erigaisi, well, his position looks better after that trade, but Vincent goes h5. Now my guess is that h6 is good, although it does weaken the g6 square, but I think it's the lesser evil. In fact, Arjun does not agree with it and he castle shot, but I think for Vincent here with h6 coming in, this is a very good development with the bishop here. The pawn on h6. This is looking very dangerous for Arjun. And now the queen comes up to b2. He's like telling the knight, you can never move. If you move here, boom, checkmate. So rook e8. Arjun is angling for the e5 move to shut down that diagonal somehow. If magically Arjun could play e5, remove the knight, put the bishop here, he would be very, very happy. But that's not easy. That's not easy. Bishop takes on f3. And now we go bishop takes f3. The bishop is now on this good diagonal here. And Arjun goes pawn to c6. He's trying to solidify the structure there. And pawn to b5. He's trying to kind of hit this structure on c6. Takes, bishop c6 could be possible. And so Arjun needs to decide whether he wants to keep this pawn here or push c5. When he pushes c5, the light squares would get weakened a bit. And you can see already the dark squares are controlled. He plays it. He plays his pawn to c5. Very, very complicated and an amazing position. And g4. Vincent getting a bit ambitious here. He pushes his pawn. Takes. Maybe, of course, firstly his threat is g5. So Arjun must take. Bishop takes. And in this position, it feels to Vincent that he has made some progress. But has he? Has he done that? Is the big question. Because now Arjun pushes his pawn to d5. There were other options as well here. You could play pawn to e5, but d5 makes a lot of sense. And now Vincent should simply put his pawn on f4. And that's a good move. Just looking at all the dark squares. But instead he goes bishop e2. He brings his bishop back on the e2 square. Trying to maybe activate it here. I don't know what his plan is. Now Arjun has a very strong move. He finds it. Pawn to d4. And his point here is that if you take pawn takes pawn, I have queen f4 with knight e4 and bishop f6. Black is actually taking over here. So f4 played here by white. And now black can jump in with knight to e4 going to g3. So f4 is on the board. And now knight to e4. Fantastic move here. He brings his knight in. His idea is to go knight to g3 to attack the two rooks. And rook to h3. Stopping the knight from entering. And he plays bishop f6. There was a huge opportunity here to play e5 and get a big position. But Arjun misses it. And now knight to d6. You want to put your knight here on f5 square, so that it's controlling the d4 square here. And the pressure is mounting. 3 minutes for Vincent. Arjun has a lot of time on hand. 8 minutes in all. And Vincent Keymer now thinking about what should he be doing. He plays his bishop to f3, getting the bishop on this diagonal. Meanwhile, Arjun gets his queen to c8. His idea is e5 and attack the rook here on the h3 square. Rook h2 played, so that maybe bishop g2 to h3 is a plan. Arjun goes knight to f5. Good play by Arjun. his position getting better step by step again. He's threatening to take here and take the pawn on e3. Bishop c6 played, attacking the rook, and Arjun can save that rook. He goes rook d8, a good move, bolstering the d4 pawn. Also at some points threatening d3 if possible. Queen goes to b3. No, Vincent's position looking bad here. Knight e7, maybe not needed there. Bishop g2, he quickly comes back. Actually, a better idea was to take and take on a1 and rook d6, queen d8, trying to enter the d file. But anyway, the game went e5 now. And that is a big mistake. Bishop h3, Arjun completely missing this move. Bishop h3 and now bishop e6 coming in. He shouldn't have timed e5 right now. Just queen d7 and he's doing so well. But e5 missing this key move. And with extra time on the clock, this is kind of unforgivable error that Arjun has made. And you can see him there. He's completely shocked. Bishop e6 played. e4 by Arjun. And now if Vincent takes here, Arjun gets a fine position with knight coming to f5. So Vincent first goes queen b1. He's attacking the e4 pawn. He's like, this rook is pinned. I don't need to hurry right now. And queen b7 played by Arjun. Maybe there were other moves that were better than that. Perhaps knight f5 made a lot of sense because of if you take here, I have knight g3 trying to fork you. But instead he went queen b7 trying to defend this. And Vincent now can play this very nice move rook g2 with the idea of f5. And he finds it. King goes quickly to f8. Arjun trying to move quickly. And now pawn takes pawn. Bishop takes, check, bishop takes, rook takes. And well, he could have taken cd4, but the problem of course is that rook e1 and this, or you can first take on f7. It's very risky. So takes, rook takes, he takes on f7 and boom, pushes f5. What a move by Vincent. He's just showing his class here, just showing that it's once he gets the advantage, he is an absolute beast. gf5. And now the best way is to bring the queen in from d1 to h5. He finds it. He finds this move as well. And with the rooks here on f and g file, king e6 played. This is not looking pretty. Queen h5. And Arjun trying for his last attempts, any one, because this loss will simply make him out, push him out of the tournament for fights for the first 4 spots. Rook g7, queen goes to f8. And Vincent now just so alert. Rook takes h7. Even if you give a check to me, I'll simply use my rook to block it. So that doesn't work. And he goes queen f6. Rook takes on e7. So he takes. And Vincent now takes on f5. He knows that it's over. He's seen it. He's calculated it. And if the king goes back, there's rook f7 coming up. It's game over. If king comes up, it's a mate. And resignation there. Arjun Erigaisi was almost close to winning that game after if he had played e5. But instead, the game went in another direction where he's lost and he can no longer fight for the top spots in the tournament, but he can still finish 5th and win $40,000. We'll see if he manages to do that.